do remember the effect of that on the women in the office and more or less every woman that I knew.
Television is never the same again. Women faint and have to be revived with smelling salts, etc., etc.
Colin Firth coming out of the lake was, of course, utterly stunning.
I suppose there's something about Mr. Darcy that's just irresistible. Iconic.
Complete genius.
I just think it's great. Mr. Darcy?
Miss Bennett.
It was never intended in any sense to have some kind of sexual interpretation. There was an enormous impact. It was a slow burner at first. I think first 2 episodes went out, and then suddenly something happened.
Well, Pride and Prejudice. I mean, I must admit, you do think Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy, wet shirt. But actually, the most romantic scene is when Elizabeth is at the piano and their eyes lock, and you think, oh, yes, it's going to happen.
They stare at each other, and the usual thing is, when that happens, when eyes lock, for her to look away, but she doesn't. She remains looking at him. I mean, that absolutely said it. That cemented that electricity between them. I think that's probably the main moment.
Dearest, loveliest Elizabeth.
And it wasn't just the viewers who fell for Darcy and Elizabeth. Co-stars Ely and Firth formed a romantic attachment of their own.
They got on together and they shared the same humour, and then, not a great deal longer after that, they became very friendly indeed and remained friends for some time after the completion of filming. The risk you take if allowing something like that to happen was not, you can't disallow it, but if it does happen, the downside is if they break up, then it's hell thereafter for obvious reasons. But the relationship, shall we say, blossomed and continued well after our filming, so it couldn't have been better.
While Colin Firth was the undisputed on-screen star of The Bodice Ripper, writer Andrew Davies was backstage scripting the revolution. Davies had been writing television shows for nearly 30 years, but he was now ready to earn the reputation as the man who made costume dramas sexy. For millions of viewers, the revolution started on Sunday, October the 15th, 1995, at approximately 9:45.
Even though, you know, there is a story, there is a plot, it really does actually boil down to one moment writ large.
Colin Firth, delicious, delightful, can't get enough of him.
You could understand anybody falling for him, really.
That was a moment. 30 schoolgirls watching. Actually, 15 schoolgirls and 15 schoolboys, but I think we're all equally impressed.
Man steps out of lake, world changes. You know, television is never the same again.
And nobody had the slightest inkling that the fact that he's wearing a lightweight cotton voile shirt showing part of his chest and nipples underneath would have such an effect. It certainly wasn't intended.
For the first time, Colin Firth's Mr. Darcy and Jennifer Ely's Miss Bennet gave costume drama real sex appeal.
Mr. Darcy?
Miss Bennett.
Before Pride and Prejudice, TV channels still put on costume dramas and did them well, but almost on the grounds that this was a good thing to be doing. This is the sort of thing a good channel should do. But Pride and Prejudice added another thing, which was enormous ratings. And so once that happened, once you could be being virtuous and still pulling in the punters, then I think it's since then, really, that costume drama in this latest phase has just never looked back.
Colin Firth's wet torso helped set records for video, DVD and book sales. But his army of fans might be surprised to learn he never actually went in the lake.
The man who dived into it from the long shot was a stuntman, because the rules applying any kind of water, any sort of pond, lake, river in this country are so strict about Weil's disease. And of course, we didn't want our leading actor to get Weil's disease halfway through the filming. So he never actually went into that pond. What we did was we had a tank in Ealing Studios. And Colin dived into that tank, and we put some weeds in and things like that. And then we cut to him coming towards us, wet, with his horse and groom.
The man who wrote the screenplay for Pride and Prejudice has been at the forefront of the costume drama renaissance that it sparked.
It's not too bad to have a reputation for sexing up the classics. It was the convention never to write directly about sexual matters, and so I'm just giving it a bit of a nudge.